AITA for refusing to hand over my college fund for my little sister's surgery? I, 17M. I'm the oldest kid in my family. My parents have 2 bio kids. Me and my 12-year-old sister, and they adopted my 4 other siblings. I had dozens of foster siblings over the years as well. My parents have struggled to make time and have the money for all of us. It has meant a lot of sacrificing, and mostly on my part. My parents were able to make sure all my younger siblings had at least one activity outside of school to do, but they never did that for me. I was forced to play football when I was 5, but by the time I was 7 my parents had started fostering. And I was no longer doing that. My siblings all get to do something they like. Cora does dance, for example. Some of my other siblings are in music classes. The younger kids were also prioritized with school field trips. So they always got to go, while I haven't since I was 6. The last time I asked was when I was about 9, and my parents told me to work for the money to pay. My grandparents found out what they said and gave me the money, and my parents took it off me to use for the household. My grandparents were so mad at them for that. They delayed my tonsil surgery by 2 years because they prioritized 2 foster kids and 2 of my siblings' surgeries over mine. My grandparents saw how much I was getting the short end of everything with my parents, and they set up a college fund for me. It's a lot of money and really caught me off guard. My parents know about it but cannot access it. They only know because of a fight with my grandparents over the lack of saving for my future when they have saved something for my siblings. My parents said the money my grandparents saved should be divided equally because $350,000 is a lot to save for one grandchild when you have multiple. That money is still there and I have plans for it. But my youngest sister is 5 and she needs a pretty major stomach surgery. She's had a lot of health troubles since her birth, and my parents have paid a lot of money on her medical expenses. They were told this surgery could turn her life around and give her a chance at living with less pain and stomach complications. It could give her a more normal childhood because she can't do a lot. They don't have the money for the surgery, and they want me to give them the money to pay for it and for the expenses afterward. They said they need $270,000 for the whole thing, and maybe they can give some of it back, but they might need even more if stuff gets more complicated. I told them they can't have that money, and they lost it and told me I was being selfish, and I argued back that they take from me all the time. I asked why they didn't take the money they saved for all my siblings and use that. Why does it have to be mine? They said I am putting college before my sister's future and accused me of being unwilling because she's my sister through adoption and not my bio sister. AITA? NTA. Also consider, is that money actually yours? Like, do you have access to it now at age 17? And can you use it for something for other than education? I doubt that is really the case. Especially since your parents took money your grandparents gave you before. I expect your grandparents have protected it somehow. You could tell your parents if they want money. They need to talk to your grandparents about it. Or tell your grandparent yourself that your parents are pressuring you to give them the money. But you would not be the asshole if you didn't want to risk it. There are many charitable organizations that provide free medical care to children. Shriners and St. Jude, for example. Although neither might cover your sister's issue. St. Jude addresses childhood cancer, Shriners orthopedics, burns, and spinal injuries. You parents should be well aware of these. They should also have medical insurance or CHIP. I think their story smells fishy. NTA. I call BS on your parents needing to pay out the ass on medical costs for a special needs adopted child. My understanding is the state will provide a certain dollar amount cash-wise each month and state pay insurance. My adopted parents only received medical for me. I didn't fall under special needs. I think they are lying to you. I would have an honest conversation with your grandparents and see about moving in with them ASAP. How your parents are treating you is not okay. You deserve better than that. Your NTA. You are absolutely right. They should be using the money they have saved first. They said they need $270,000 for the whole thing, and maybe they can give some of it back, but they might need even more if stuff gets more complicated. Bull. This is a cash grab. They demand a huge chunk. But not all. First. While laying the groundwork for snatching the rest. Oh, my heart broke a little reading this op. You're definitely NTA. Your parents have neglected you and they're asking you to sacrifice your future. Your grandparents have that money set aside for your education, so use it for that. It's tough knowing that your sister has to have surgery. But the funding for that is your parents' responsibility, not yours. And you've sacrificed enough. How are they allowed to foster when they can't care for the children they already have? That's fishy. But NTA, this money is for you. And I'm so glad they can't access it, because I'm sure it would already be gone. Please don't let them pressure you and steal your future. I'm pretty sure most states cover adopted kids' medical expenses. If she is still a foster, then it's 100% covered. Hospitals have charity care for these situations. Also, your parent have to have health insurance to be able to adopt these many kids. No state would allow them to be adopted out with access to medical care. You are not the only option. I think they are using your sister as an excuse to get to the money. If anything, you can offer to pay the docs directly. NTA, that is your money, not your parents' money. They need to take responsibility for those types of expenses. Those expenses fall outside of your own responsibility. I hope you can escape that household as fast as possible. Looking at your situation as an outsider makes it pretty obvious that your parents are trying their best to manipulate you. NTA, your parents have taken enough money from you. They have neglected you and your health in every form. If you loan them the money, you will never get it back. Your grandparents saw your parents' neglect of you while your parents took care of your siblings and saved the money just for you. This is one of those stories that I wish was fake. It's not though, is it? NTA. You're old enough to get emancipated without much trouble. Just saying. Why don't they ask the grandparents for the money, or are they on bad terms with them? Don't they have medical insurance? Red flags everywhere. AITA cut contact at 18. Honestly, sounds like they hate you. They literally only take from you. Your parents are sinking into debt because of they aren't able to pay for these kids. Have to have the means, which they don't. Why should you be punished for your parents' decision? NTA, I would also see if you can move in with your grandparents and get away from you parents. That money is for your education from your grandparents, so no, don't give it away. NTA. If they decided to adopt a lot of kids, they should be able to support them, not make you become a third parent in the house. You should move in with your grandparents. If they are willing to take you in, leave them ASAP. That seems like a lot of abuse. NTA, just to note, if the money is in a 529, you can't use it for medical expenses. I also think you should consider moving in with your grandparents. NTA. You should contact your grandparents ASAP and tell them you are being bullied and pressured. Then I would ask them if you could move in with them for the next year until you leave for college. Info. Did your parents also took money from your sibling or only you? Definitely NTA. But I would sit down with your grandparents and ask them about living with them until you leave for college. Even if they can't take you in, I would get all your important documents together now. and then give them to your grandparents for safekeeping. I would also get your grandparents to help you open a bank account that is not with the same bank your parents use. That way, if you get a job, your parents won't be able to take all your money for themselves, and you and your grandparents can use the account to transfer the funds to pay for each semester, as well as money to help pay for rent if you don't end up in the dorms. As it stands, that money belongs to your grandparents. You aren't in college yet, so it is not your money. Your parents are hoping to pressure you to hand over the money now, but they are barking up the wrong tree because you have zero access, and it is likely even if you were to ask your grandparents, they would know that it wasn't for your education. And another thing that came to mind, get their help in locking down your credit. If your parents need money that badly and they neglected you for basically your whole life, except for when you could do something for them, then I wouldn't put it past them from using your details to get a loan and not pay it back. Yet another reason to keep your grandparents in control of your college fund. NTA, do not give them a cent off. They are asking you to forego your future to give one to some stranger you have no connection to, other than your parents feeling generous to adopt one day. That's their burden to carry, not yours. They might adopt another kid too and spend money on them, so unlikely they will pay any of it back. Absolutely insane. They want money your grandparents have put aside for you. Do not let them have any more weight over your life, and keep living each day to make your life the best. Whatever you do, please don't let them crack you. You are 1,000,000% in the right to keep this. NTA, I know medical bills are crazy high in the US, but $270,000 sounds ridiculous. I suspect your parents and sister could travel to a foreign country. Canada comes to mind. Have the procedure performed there, and stay there while your sister recuperates for a fraction of that. NTA, I don't trust your parents at all. I think they just want to grab as much money as possible. There is kind of narcissist who seems benevolent at first, supporting foster kids, doing charity, but actually only does it for the praise from outside. I wonder if your parents could fall into that, because they are obviously abusive. My mom has NPD/BPD, and I realized quite late in life. Protect your assets. Maybe move to your grandparents, and don't let them guilt trip you. That is a common strategy.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.